It would be helpful if you can actually hear me, right? Okay, we're going to obviously switch this over from World of Warships because obviously that's not working for us anymore. Okay, let's play. That should do, right? Um, I don't know if I can really do um, multiplayer on this right at this point in time, so I'm just gonna kind of stick with single player for now. Let's see. Um, let's see. How shall I kind of describe this? Hmm. So yes, we are going to be switching games here, folks. So let's see. Just trying to figure what tags I want to use for what I'm selecting right at the moment. I mean, I guess that will work. Um, Now, okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to load up Clue. Okay. Um, uh, that's one of the games that I plan on doing during the celebration. And, um, I enjoy playing the game even though, um, don't really play too often with other people. But, I mean, that's an option for that day. So, um, but I figure at least with Clue, I can maybe help people that might not know how to play and, give them some ideas to maybe work on their strategies. And maybe if anybody's interested, they can kind of help me out, maybe. Um, so far, I'm not really seeing any um, good tags for it though. Um, let's see. We're not playing with viewers today. Not really seeing any good tags. Hmm. There's no real like tabletop gaming or anything along those lines. I saw one that was okay, but we'll just go with this one. Might as well. Okay, so updating that. Gonna go ahead and run the game. Then we're gonna go ahead and add the game capture. Let's see. Window, clue. See if that works there. Okay, webcam frame. That's not really working out very well. Okay. Clue, we're gonna go ahead and move you right down here. Going to go ahead and stretch the screen. And we're going to okay, we don't need that one anymore. Let's see. Now we're gonna go and put myself down here in the corner for now. Now, as you can kind of see, I don't have anything here unlocked. I don't have the money to even purchase any of these or like do the season pass or unlock any of these other maps. Maybe someday I will, but you know, can't really do that. Obviously, you can play with friends, you can play online, so you know it's a good game. It's a good game if you have you know like six people that you want to kind of play with. Um, I tend to like red overall, so I tend to go with Miss Scarlet over. Now, normally I don't have this on, so we'll go ahead and turn that off. This basically gives you like some cards that you can kind of use to cheat the well, gives you some additional hints and like um, I mean it can help at times, but for the most part, I don't really use them. I don't need them. Or I mean, there's I mean, you can use them, you can't use them. It doesn't really matter. I don't really use them all that much. So, now I normally go with medium as the difficulty. Um, hard, they tend to select. They're able to guess faster than I can, or they're able to figure out the right set of clues faster than I can. So I normally stick with medium for now. So let me go ahead and start up a game and kind of show you guys how I normally kind of work through everything. Now, do I have the... Doesn't seem like I have the music or anything like that up and running. So let's go ahead and try to make sure that... Okay. There we go. Okay. Hopefully the game audio is okay. Let me know if it's a little too much for you. I can reduce it. Normally I just kind of have the music and stuff like that off. Normally I'm doing this while I'm like watching some videos or something like that, so. Okay. So for anyone that has never really played this game before, the audio does seem a little loud here. Hold on a second. Let's go ahead and reduce that down some. There we go. Okay. So the whole concept of Clue is the fact that you go to this mansion, you know, the 6 of you or less, depending on how many players you have. Go to this mansion, and the host or the owner of said mansion, you know, throws like a little dinner party and stuff like that, and he's murdered by one of the 6. So your job is to figure out who did it. You know, who was the suspect? What weapon did they use? And where did the crime happen? You know, so you're trying to piece together all the various clues and the like. Now, right now, my cards are all weapons. So I know that, you know, these basically mean that you are already aware that these are not the weapon that was used. Okay. Meaning, I am certain for a fact that the candlestick, the dagger, and the wrench was not the murder weapon in this particular case. Okay. But I don't know who did it or where it happened. Okay. So you're supposed to select, you know, the room that you want to go to. In this case, Plum went to the dining room, and or no, it wasn't Plum. It was Green that went to the dining room. He suspected it might have been Plum with a revolver in the dining room. Okay, so these red X's that are over here are basically showing that the second person here, Peacock, okay, or Mrs. Peacock, okay, didn't have Plum, the revolver, or dining room, so she could say, sorry, I can't help you disprove that. Okay, so Green goes on to the next person. Okay, and asks, do you have one of these cards? Do you have Plum? Do you have the revolver? Or do you have the dining room? Okay, now Plum, he did have one of those cards, so he handed one of those 3 cards to Green. You don't know what he has at this particular time. You're supposed to figure that part out. So now a new player, a player that has no idea on how to play this game, would just hit continue and move on. They wouldn't really know on how to really play the game. Okay, this gives you some clues as to what Plum has. But if you're not recording down that information, it will be lost to you. You would have to find that information out yourself. And that could, you will eventually lose the game if you wait for your own clues. Okay, so see, the other players will give you hints as you go along. So now, uh, what? Now in this particular game, you're given a lot of options to on your little scorecard here to kind of manipulate the data. Normally, I like to use question marks, stating that, well, one of these three cards was in the third person's hand, or Mr. Plum's hand, or Professor Plum's hands. Here's another thing that I do that helps me out from time to time. What I do is I say that this particular time, or this was a particular set, meaning I set it to 1, so this is set number 1. And that'll make a little bit more sense as we kind of progress down the line. Now, I could change it to, like, the exclamation point if I really wanted to. Exclamation point, question mark, doesn't really matter. You can use either one of those, okay? What you don't want to do is you don't want to use the red X or the check mark. Check mark means that the either you've determined already from another player that they had that particular card, or you are guessing that particular, or you're guessing or you're figuring out, depending on how you handle it, that the check mark is the you're saying that this particular card is in this particular hand with the check mark. God damn. The red X means that you're saying that they don't actually have the card. So that's why you want to be careful with the red X as well. You know, you're basically, if I put a red X here, that's basically saying, oh, Plum couldn't have had the dining room, when in fact he could have. So we're going to continue on. And now it's Mrs. Peacock's turn. Now she went to the ballroom, and she's saying, "Hey, Plum and the wrench in the ballroom." Now here's the thing. Here's what here's something that kind of came up a little bit, which helps me out. Now, take a look at what Plum had. Notice the fact that I had 3 question marks here, right? Well, because of her suggesting that it might have been Plum, it might have been the wrench, and it might have been the ballroom, it went to Plum, and he automatically confirmed that he didn't have the Plum card. So I know that he has now either the revolver or the dining room. See what I'm saying? It automatically selected the fact that he did not have that card, so I don't need to worry about it anymore. Now, Peacock selected the wrench, but I already have the wrench. I already know that this is an option that is not viable. So Mustard has either the ballroom card or Plum. I can't confirm either one right at the moment, so I'm just gonna select, these are the question marks. This is his first set that I found. Okay. And we move on. Now it's Professor Plum's turn, and he's heading out to the billiard room. He's suspecting himself with a rope. Okay. So we got some more details there. Once again, Plum was removed from Mustard couldn't confirm Plum on that. Now, I know that Plum, the wrench, and Ballroom was the set of cards that he was asked the previous round by Peacock. Okay, I had the wrench. It's now confirmed that he doesn't have Plum. So the only thing that he had was the Ballroom. So I know for a fact that he has Ballroom. So I can 100% guarantee that um, you know my putting a check mark there works in my favor. Now I no longer need to go to the Ballroom because I already know that one of the players already has that card. So now we look at these other 3 cards here, and we know that green has one of them. Which card? Don't really know. We'll figure it out. So far, I've been pretty lucky on, the AI basically selecting those particular questions. Okay. Oh. Interesting. Okay, so once again, we got some more information here. So, so because of his question with the plum and the rope, we confirm green doesn't have plum or the rope. So, Billy Room was his card. Okay then. Here's another thing though. We've also confirmed that plum is a card that no one has. So plum is the suspect. Hands down. We already know that no one has his card. So he's guilty of the crime. So now we just need to figure out the weapon and the room that it was done in. Now, here's the thing. I could say that Plum here has the dining room because this is the second time that the dining room has come up. So it could be possible that he has the dining room, but I don't know. He could also have the rope. He could have handed the rope off to Mustard in this case. Okay, so I could put a check mark here on the dining room, but it's not confirmed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select that both of these here was in the second set of questions that was asked. Now I can put it like a little 2 up here, meaning that they didn't really ask for any other suspects in this particular case. So there we go. There's my mic again. So right now we have a potential of 3 cards already selected, but it could just be a single card out of the 3 that he has. Now each one of these tiny little dots means that that's one of their cards. Each player, each one of these players has 3 cards in this case. Okay, now if you reduce down the number of players, then there might be more cards given to the to certain players more. Um, it probably would have been great if they actually picked up a um, did like the number of rooms, the number of weapons, the number of people, in a sense where no matter how many players you have, you're always gonna have a the same amount of cards no matter what. A common denominator, you might say. Um, but they didn't do that well for this game, so certain players might get more cards depending on how many players you have. But so yeah, we're doing pretty good so far out of this. We've already confirmed 2 rooms that aren't viable. Okay, so now this doesn't help me because Orchid is asking whether or not Peacock, the Wrench, or the Lounge was one of the, you know, she's asking about these particular cards, and well, I had the Wrench, so I didn't get any information out of that whatsoever. Nothing that can help me. It helps out Orchid there because, you know, I just gave her some information on that, but you know, it doesn't help me out at all. So now it's my turn, and obviously I rolled the dice. Now the dice just allows for you to kind of move around the house. Okay, if I roll too low, which thankfully I didn't, um, you have the potential of just kind of stopping in the hallway. If you stop in the hallway, you can't make a guess. So now here's another thing. It's already highlighting the fact that, hey, I can go to the library or I can go to the ballroom. I can't go anywhere else. Okay, I don't have enough movement for that. So what am I going to pick? Do I pick the ballroom or do I pick the library? Well, ballroom I already know. That doesn't really help me out. Okay, I could go into the ballroom to maybe see if, you know, one of these weapons was indeed the murder weapon. But I need to figure out who has what cards. Okay. Um, so, I mean, I could go to the ballroom, for example. I could select the rope and I can select plum just to see if I can confirm the rope. But it's still early game right at the moment. Okay. And I want to try to find as much information as I possibly can. Okay. So, we're going to be going to the library here. And now, I could select plum again. And I could select one of the weapons here. I can even select one of my weapons here. So, like, what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna go. Let's go with mustard, and I could pick one of my weapons. I can pick the candlestick. I can pick the dagger. I can pick the wrench. But that doesn't really help me too much. It doesn't really narrow down what weapon it is. What I want to do is I'm going to select the lead pipe in this case because I don't have any information on any of these particular values. I don't know if I know that mustard isn't the person in question because I already know that Plum did it. Okay. I don't have any information on the lead pipe, and I don't know anything about the library. So that's the reason why I'm kind of doing this. Now, is that a good strategy? Yes and no. I mean, like I said, I could have confirmed the rope. If, confirmed whether or not the rope was by another person. Um, but I'm trying to get as much data as I possibly can out there. See, which player has which cards. So I may get lucky and confirm that Plum and the rope were indeed um, the two elements of the murder. Still doesn't mean that I'm still gonna need to look around the room. So oh, Mr. Green had one of these cards already, so it's confirmed that he already has mustard. So not much I can do about this. Now here's the thing. Here's one of the little caveats that I want to put out there for everybody that's watching. Okay. Green, while I already know that he has two cards already, he has mustard and he has the billiard room, I don't know whether or not he has the lead pipe, and I don't know whether or not he has the library. He could. He really could have the lead pipe or the library in this case. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the fact that this is the second set. Let's remove that one because it wasn't part of this. It wasn't part of the first set that I found. Okay. And I'm going to select the check mark as also part of the second set. Okay, meaning that these might not be. They might turn out to be nothing altogether. So. So yeah, these could be kind of empty altogether on this. So I don't really know. So we're gonna move on. I didn't find out too much more information other than the fact that mustard was not a suspect, which obviously I already knew, but it was good to figure out who actually had the card. Okay. It allows me to kind of narrow down, what a player has and doesn't have. So, it also allows for me to figure out, who best to kind of make some determinations. So, okay, so we didn't get that much information out of this. But we know that Peacock has either Peacock or the lounge. We don't really know of anything else. I'm going to go ahead and put a 1 here because I know it wasn't the wrench. So I'm just going to basically let myself know that, this, the weapon wasn't viable. So Peacock either has the suspect, Peacock, or the lounge. So we move on. Not getting a lot of information this particular round, but oh, okay, moving on to the dining room, huh? Okay. Oh boy. Okay, so now the fact that this has come up 3 times in a row typically is giving me that indication that, yeah, this is indeed something that, a dining room is a card that Plum has. Okay. I could leave it as a question mark, but 3 times in a row, he probably has it. But I don't know that for certain because I don't know who has the Peacock card either. So, I'm just gonna put the other 3 there. I don't have, and I don't know whether or not Plum has any of the, what if he has any weapon cards right at the moment. So, all right. I'm just going to the lounge. Aha. Eureka, as you might say. So, now, Peacock was able to help out Plum there. But, because of, the suggestions that Plum made, I know what card Peacock gave him too. You want to know why? Well, look at the indicators here. We have one indicator on the lounge, one indicator on the revolver, which we've already determined that Peacock does not have. And we already know that Plum isn't a suspect. So, these are not 2 of the cards that she has, so we automatically know that she has the lounge. Now, I could get rid of this question mark, but again, I don't really know. She might still have the Peacock card. Okay, so I mean, I can put these numbers here just to kind of represent the fact that, they were something found in the second set. But, I mean, you don't necessarily need to do that. The study, huh? Okay. Oh, okay. Well, that doesn't really help me out all that much. I mean, I know that Orchid doesn't have the study or the Peacock card, but that's all the information that we got out of that, which is kind of unfortunate. Again, we don't know whether or not he has any of these cards right at the moment. This round doesn't help me. This round didn't help me at all, because a lot of this information was already kind of known. So, now it's my turn. Nice large number, so we can pretty much go wherever we want to, except for the kitchen. So, obviously, I don't want to go to the lounge. I don't want to go to the belly room. I don't want to go to the ballroom. Don't need to. Don't, don't force yourself to go to one of these rooms if you don't need to go to them. Now, I mean, like I said, I could use, say, like the ballroom to determine whether or not the revolver rope was one of the weapons. Here, let let me demonstrate. So I'll go to the ballroom this time. I already know that the ballroom is a card that um, has kind of been found. So I'm just doing this to confirm the weapon right at the moment. I know that Plum is the suspect. Now I'm checking to see whether or not the rope was used or not. Okay. Now if I did like the wrench, I'm wasting my turn here. Okay. Because I already know the wrench. I already know Plum. And I already know the ballroom. So pick the cards that you need help with. Okay. So Plum confirmed that he has the rope. So now we don't need to worry about that anymore. Okay. Now this is interesting because dining room is also one of those that just keeps on popping up. Was it the card in question though? Was it indeed um see, did he have did he also have the revolver when the first set was determined? Don't really know. But we confirmed that the rope was not the murder weapon. So we know, you know, we know that it's either the lead part or the revolver, but we're not 100% sure on either one of them right at the moment. We could take a 50-50 guess if we really wanted to, but it doesn't really help us. Alright, so wrench, already know, can't really do anything, but we are on our first set of cards for Orchid, so we're going to go ahead and we need to figure out, does Orchid have Orchid? Or did she have the conservatory? Don't really know. We'll have to figure that part out. Okay. Here's another instance where we learned something that helps us out immensely. Library is something that Mustard owns. We found that out because, one, again, Plum doesn't know. We have the wrench, so he has to have the library. Hands down. We confirmed that. So he has one more card in his hand that we don't really know about yet. So but we're narrowing down the rooms. We have 5 more rooms to determine. This doesn't really help us out, obviously, because we already learned that the library was with Mustard. So again, information that we already knew. So nothing much we can do about that. Everybody's going to the billiard room. Oh well. Alright. Now, we have 3 spots that we haven't been to yet. I'm definitely not going to the billiard room because I already know Green has that card and he could show it to me again if he really wants to. Not going to happen. Not going to let that occur. So I'm going to pick the conservatory, dining room, or the kitchen. Now, a lot of people haven't been going back to the dining room all that much. So I'm thinking that Plum does indeed have the dining room. It's just a guess. So I'm thinking either the conservatory or the kitchen. Now, uh, now I could go to the conservatory, but here's the thing. There's a little hidden passageway that goes from the conservatory to the lounge. Same with the kitchen. Kitchen goes from the kitchen to the study. It's a little secret passageway, kind of crisscross there. Now, if I go to the conservatory, I can go to the lounge if I really wanted to. But I already know that the lounge was already kind of scratched off. So I don't necessarily need to go to the conservatory. So I'm going to pick the kitchen out between the two. Alright. This time around, we're going to go ahead and continue kind of picking up on individuals like such as myself, you know, just to see who has the Scarlet card, or who has the Lead Pipe card, or who has the kitchen. Okay, so we know that Plum has the kitchen card. Okay. Now, here's the thing that I want to clearly state here. Okay. The player only has 3 cards. Okay. Now I can say he doesn't have the Lead Pipe and he doesn't have Scarlet. Now you might be wondering, well, Jim, why? Why are you saying that he definitely does not have those 2 cards? Well, here's the thing. Okay. He either, based off of the previous sets that we did, okay, we already know that he has either the first set here, you know, either the revolver or the dining room, or he has the dining room and peacock. He doesn't have anything else. Okay? You could, well, actually, we can confirm that it's the dining room based off of what we're looking at right now. Why is that? Well, here's the thing. If I selected peacock, for example, then how was he showing off, you know, not Plum, not the revolver, and not the dining room, even though that is the first set? It can't be the revolver because we know that the third number, peacock, in this case the wrench, and the dining room was also kind of selected. So can't be that. So we know for a fact that it has to be the dining room now. And now that we determined what Plum has completely, we can actually go ahead and nullify everything else in for his hand. We know that he doesn't have the study. We know that he doesn't have the hall. He doesn't have the lead pipe. He doesn't have green. He doesn't have scarlet. There you go. We got a lot of information out of that. So Now, is there anything else that might have helped us out with it, with this a little bit? So, no, I don't see anything else that could have helped us out. Now, sometimes when you have like a determination, like, hey, we confirmed that the dining room. Well, like, what happens when there's like a value being questioned off here? You know, it could have allowed for us to determine if someone else might have had another card. So, now right now, we we are either no, we know that either the conservatory, the hall, or the study is the area of, um, we aren't sure in these particular rooms. We have confirmed that the revolver is not is the weapon in question. Okay, so the lead pipe here is either in mustard sands or orchid sands. That's it. Okay. So we know Plum and the revolver were part of the mirror. Now we have to just figure out the location, and that can be difficult. Rooms can tend to be the most difficult um, location to determine for the most part. Okay. We now know that the conservatory is in Orchid Sands because we know the plum and revolver isn't in our hands. So it's either the hall or the study. That didn't really help us out. Conservatory isn't going to help us out. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. We just got the last clue here, folks. I'm going to give you a second or two to see why they've basically given me the answer. I can now solve the crime. I'll give you a minute or so to kind of figure it out if you want. Okay. So, we got a card from Peacock. Peacock. Okay. Here's the thing. We already determined that Peacock doesn't have Scarlet. She doesn't have the lead pipe. So, we know for certain that she has the study out of those three cards that were asked. Now, because we've determined that the study is being held by a peacock in this case, that just gave us that the hall is the main murder location. It doesn't matter everything else, okay? I can work on trying to get all of the rest of the cards and stuff like that. Determine, what the last card that green had, the last card that peacock has. Um, Matter of fact, I can already determine the card that peacock has, for example, because I know the hall is the room in question. Well, you look down the column that peacock has, and there's only one empty spot. So she has green. Okay. You can do the exact same thing with green in this case. You know, you look down his particular line, and you can see that orchid is the only one left on that. Okay. Well, peacock here, no one else has, but someone has to have peacock, and guess what? That's mustard. Okay. Well, mustard has all three of his cards, so that block right there can't be his. This card here can't be his. So now we have two cards left, which is what Orchid has here. So basically, by process of elimination, we figured out the entire board just by that last roll right there. So there's not much else for me to really do. So, oops, hello, what's going on here? Clue can get a little glitchy here, so we're gonna come back out here real quick. Sometimes it has a hard time trying to, I've had little glitches before with Clue where it looks like one of the AI players should be able to kind of solve the problem, but they don't. So it kind of hangs on that. So we're gonna go ahead and resume. There we go. So we're going to go to the hall. And we're basically going to confirm everything that we've already determined. Okay, I don't really need to. I could have gone anywhere else. Okay, but we're going to go with plum. We're going to go with revolver. And we're going to go with the hall. Now, every single last person should not have the card whatsoever, based off of our determination by this point. So, we have now confirmed that no one has these cards. I don't have them. No one else has them. So now I can do the final accusation here. That face, man. Oof. And it's plum with a revolver in the hall. Accuse. And now I get to kind of check out these cards. There you go. More often than not, I tend to win in the medium difficulty, but there have been occasions where I haven't been as lucky, and the AIs have been able to determine it prior. So it's not always a guaranteed. Same with easy games. Um, Normally in easy games, um, these guys are just kind of walking all over the place, trying to go, where do we go? What do we question? Blah, blah, blah. You know, they're basically the ones that don't fill out their sheet whatsoever. Now, I'm going to show you what hard is all about here. Select everybody for hard. And most likely I'm going to lose. Because there's other strategies that I haven't figured out myself that could also be used, most likely. Okay, so I got 2 weapons in a room this time around. Oh, I'm the first person, huh? Okay. Now, one of the possibilities that you can go with is, like, I can go to the study, I can select a lead pipe, and I can confirm whether or not I can confirm one of the suspects. I could do that, but it doesn't really help me out per se on it. I mean, it would be a guaranteed um, determination on whether or not a suspect has been found or not. Okay. Problem is that it also kind of confirms with everybody else as well for the most part. They'll be asking me, do you have the study? Do you have like a lead pipe or a revolver? And it kind of causes a problem because it doesn't really help me out with the other rooms or the other weapons. So I don't really do that kind of strategy that much. So normally I pick, place such as like the lounge, someplace where I don't have any kind of information on. We pick, one of the individuals, like say, Mr. Green, and we'll select like the wrench. Well, that didn't really give me a whole lot of information, but it happens. Now, I could do the final accusation if I really wanted to. But you don't know the suspect, the weapon, or the location. So you're basically leaving yourself up to chance on that. And you're not, I mean, you might be able to determine it, but the odds of it are pretty high that you wouldn't. So, to hit the right kind of combination. So, now we know that um, Mustard has either the Hall or Mustard, so. Okay. I'm just going to put a 1 here so I know that this one was already kind of taken care of. Okay, there we go. Moving on. Oh boy. Now, this is giving me the choice. See, Plum was asking for Peacock, Revolver, and Steady. I have both the Revolver and Steady. Now, when it comes to this kind of situation in the game, um, you don't show both of them. Okay, you only show one of your two cards or three cards depending on what you have, right? Um, I mean there could be a potential where they select the combo that you have all three of them. Okay, but in this particular case, I only need to show one of the two. Now, what do I show? Well, here's the thing. Locations, the rooms themselves, it can be one of the most difficult um, um, can be one of the most difficult cards to find. Okay, or not find in this case. So what I normally do is I pick anything other than the room because now they don't know whether or not the study is still available. Like for example, notice how Green, Peacock, and Plum hasn't been questioned in this particular case. I mean, Plum had the question, asked the question initially, but who has the study? Could it be me? Could it be Peacock? Could it be Mr. Green? You know, could it be Plum that's doing it? You know, and that's the point. So, okay. Okay. All right. Didn't really get too much information out of that, but obviously Peacock has one of those three cards, so. Now, what would really be great is if we can actually determine whether or not Orchid has a third set. So we can basically remove everything else. So, like, for example, if we did, say, the conservatory, for example, did the dagger and did Scarlet, and we determined one of those cards is something that she held, then we can get rid of all the other blank tiles. Okay, because we're already determined that she has either the dining room and green, or she has lounge, candlestick, or the orchid card herself. So we're going to go to the conservatory here. I am going to select myself as a suspect. And we will go with the rope. Eat some chips. That set of questions did not really help me at all. Um, so the end result was either the dining room or Orchid, which I already know that that's a potential for one, if not both. So once again, I could say that Mustard is the card that Mustard might have, but I don't know. So better to question it than make a determination that might lead to your failure. So now here's the problem where this falls into. I could say that Plum gave her the Scarlet card to verify the fact that, she wasn't the suspect in this particular case. And Orchid, you know, would have taken that and continued moving on. But here's the thing. She could have the candlestick and the lounge as well. Okay, now this starts getting into a little bit more strategy, and this is the part that I fail at. Okay. Um, the the some of the you know better clue players, they can kind of make the right kind of questions come up. They can determine, hey, what location, what player, what weapon, caused um, the murder. And this um, this can be a little problematic for me in that, I could select one of these, six places. Don't really want to go to the study. Um, but I want to try to get the most amount of information out of it. I could go to the study, and I can then try to see whether or not it's one of these suspects or one of these candlesticks based off of that. But it doesn't really help me in the long run. Once again. So the question is, what works? You know, what what is the best selection from here that I can get the most amount of information from, and um, can help me kind of determine if I'm running into other problems here and there. So, for example, um, I look at the list here. I see 3 spots there, 2 spots there, 3 spots there, 3 spots there, 4 spots there, 3 spots there. Maybe I want to go to the library. Now, if anyone is watching this, whether it's, you know, right now during the stream, or if you're watching it on YouTube later, once I upload it, of course, um, and you're looking at this and going, Jim, at this particular point in time, and give me a timestamp. You know, you probably should have selected this, and here's the reason why. Okay. If you do that, then I learn, and you might actually help out other viewers as well. So feel free to do that. Okay. Everybody's selecting Scarlet and it's bugging the living daylights out of me. Now, here's another problem. Plum could have showed Scarlet off. Or he could have shown the billiard room off. Don't really know. There we go. Hold on a second. Let me eat my little chip here, and I'll get right back to you. Okay, sorry about that. So last time around, we were able to determine that, hey, the locations that were kind of selected, you know, green had to have been the appropriate card for that Orchid had. Okay, because the other two spots were already kind of canceled out. And once again, we're having the problem with, like, hey, um, it's definitely not mustard here, but Plum has either the candlestick or the conservatory. Now, this is kind of useful information in that um, we can determine that even though Scarlet was already kind of found, these two were part of the set. So that means that this right here, these two right here, are is another card. Guaranteed. We just don't know exactly which one. These AI are not helping me out. Okay, sorry about that. Now, I don't know if you saw that or not, but I was trying to point out the fact that the second set that was done here for Scarlet was blocked. We have the dagger. Um, that's under question. And the kitchen that's under question. Okay, from the second set. Well, there's only one card left. So we know that green either has to have the dagger or has to have the kitchen. We're not quite sure exactly which. I'm going to put my money more towards the kitchen, but that could be wrong too. So, now you can kind of use these kind of cancellations a little bit to kind of help you out a little concerning the situation, but I don't see anything else. Still don't have the room, the weapon, or the suspect, although I'm getting close to both. Doesn't help me out. Okay. Not mustard, not the rope, but definitely is the lounge. Okay, so here's the thing. For plum, we already determined that 4 here is a set. So while plum doesn't have mustard, he has to have the candlestick or he has to have the conservatory. He doesn't have anything else. Okay, because that is his last third card. Everything else doesn't matter. So we can get rid of this. We can get rid of this. Now you might be saying, well, Jim, this one has the 3 on it. Well, yeah, but we've already determined that, one was a dagger, but it was scarlet. So we're looking for the set that is kind of outside that kind of scope. So you pick the 4 values in this case. Now we're getting a little bit closer to the end here. To the point where we should be getting closer to determining, which of these stands out, or what works, what doesn't. Ah, here's another one. So I know that it's mustard now because the candlestick from the second set here and the lounge from the second set was canceled. Okay, meaning that they can't be either one of those, right? So it has to be orchid. Now I can't determine any other cards for her because still have the rope, dining room, hall, and library to figure out for her, but you know. Okay, that's about as much as we can do for that. So we're moving on with questioning. Okay, so this kind of is a bummer. No, okay. I already know that mustard is the suspect. Okay, I've already determined that out. So I know that that can't be a possibility. Problem is that I don't know whether or not library or the candlestick is in his possession. I don't know. It's a problem. He still has 2 more cards, and there's, what, 5 more spots? So we're going to need to create another set here. I'm already kind of having some problems here because my field has already been being kind of taken up quite a bit. And I'm battling hard AIs right now. Okay, they might be really close to an answer themselves. So, and I don't have anything, concerning the room figured out yet. So, the study doesn't really help me. That didn't really help me at all. It's not going to expose this. Damn it. That doesn't help me. I mean, I'm basically left with the same kind of question. Was it the candlestick or was it the library that was shown? I don't know. Okay. So, we're probably on our last round right at the moment. And because most likely if I'm this close to the answer in question, then they are as well, if not even more so, on um, who's available, who can get the correct solution to this. So we're at 6 o'clock already, but I'm gonna finish off this game. Like I said, I'm probably not gonna win, but we'll give it our best shot here. So again, I don't know if it's candlestick. I don't know if it's library. Now, we're going to make our roll here. We're going to have a little bit of luck. So we have 3 spots to go to. Lounge, ballroom are completely out already. I already know that they've been selected. Don't need to worry about that anymore. So we're going to go to the billiard room. And we got to hope that this spot here isn't something that Peacock has. I don't know. That's the problem. So we're going to go with Mustard, seeing that he is the main suspect in this particular case. And I don't have any other cards that can help me in that. We are going to go... We have the billiard room. So we're going to determine whether or not that works or not. The last one that we're going to need to figure out is whether or not is the weapon. Now, a lot of people have been kind of using the candlestick lately. So, does Mustard have the candlestick? Not sure. Let's go ahead and try to find out. That unfortunately didn't help me out. I was kind of hoping that the that Peacock didn't have the billiard room, so it would have allowed for me to kind of select something else. But you know what I probably could have done? Instead of it's something that I can't take back. And again, I'm probably going to lose on this particular round. But what I could have done was, Mustard was already kind of determined. Billiard room was already kind of determined. What I could have done was I could have selected dagger instead of the candlestick. Now, here's the reasoning behind it. If the dagger, if we got to Peacock and billiard room came up anyway, it would have determined whether or not dagger was a was or was not a item in question. Okay. If it was an item in question, then billiard room would not have been taken up. But here's the catch. Here's the rub. Okay. We're looking for the last item here for green in this case. You know, dagger or the kitchen. So if it was dagger, then kitchen would have been out. Okay. And we would have had an X there, which meant that billiard room and the kitchen would have been available for Peacock. So I would have been, okay, well, you know, um, seeing that those two spots were the only spots left, it comes to the conclusion that, you know, those two spots were her last two cards. Okay. If it didn't go past dagger, or if it did go past dagger, and you know the this last spot was still kind of open because she would have given off the billiard room. Okay, if this was an X, that would have been a check mark. So that would have meant that would have been an X. So that would have meant that this was also the last spot for Peacock. Now I don't know. And now I'm kind of at a disadvantage. Now, I still would not have been able to determine the location because billiard room was one of the locations already kind of determined, but um, okay. We know that conservatory is something that Plum has because the other two values were were crossed out, so that's good. Um, 1, 1, 1, so we know that the hall is out. Now I'm determining whether or not I can cancel everything else out here. So, case in point, 2, 2, this has to be the only available choice out of the matter, right? So now we can determine that this is gone and that is gone because all three cards have been found, right? So that means that the candlestick is the weapon of choice in this matter. Now we need to figure out the we need to figure out the room. But here's I actually won. I actually won on this. So it's my turn right at the moment. So I can still do the final accusation. Now, I'm going to give you guys a minute or two. So if you're watching this and you want to know why, I'll tell you in a minute. I'll give you some time to look at my little score sheet here and determine why I've won. Do you see it yet? It's kind of hidden. I'm going to make sure that I'm in this particular screen before I do. Okay, so here's the thing. Okay. I can determine the room from what we have here. Now you might be thinking, well, Jim, how? Well, here's the thing. Here's the rope. We've just determined that the candlestick is the murder weapon in this case, okay? We know it was mustard and it is the candlestick for certain. We know that. We don't know the room though. We have a 50-50 chance and we could just kind of guess one way or another. But we can determine it for certain in this. So, here's the reason why. If the candlestick is the murder weapon, then the dagger and the rope has to be held by someone. Okay? Well, here's the thing. The rope isn't being held by anyone other than Orchid. So it has to be here. She has to be holding the rope on this. Right? Okay. Well, if that's the case, all of her cards have been held. All of her cards have been filled up. We already know all of her cards. So therefore, this spot right here, she doesn't own. So therefore, it has to be the dining room. Yay. So there you go. Okay there folks, that's going to be the end for today's stream. Hopefully you enjoyed this little delve into Clue. I tend, I tend to enjoy playing this game from time to time. It gets really interesting when you're playing it with other players. Um, I do enjoy some of the gameplays that other players have played. Um, such as Chill Chaos and Z. Um, I do enjoy their gameplays. I really wish I could kind of play against them or kind of show them what I kind of showed you here, so that they could pretty much walk over. Well, not necessarily walk over. I mean, because luck is a factor in this game to a certain extent. Um, but um, but I sometimes look at their gameplay and they go, oh my gosh, they're missing some key information there, or they don't pick up on some key information. Like for example, the fact that if two of the spots have already kind of been determined, then it has to be that third. So it's can be kind of painful to watch sometimes. But I mean, you have to start off somewhere. So hopefully I kind of helped you out on this little game of logic. So I do tend to enjoy playing this game from time to time. Maybe we'll be seeing some individuals wanting to kind of step forward and play me a game or two on it. We'll see. Otherwise, it'll be like another 2 hours of gameplay on this. So, and maybe I'll just kind of play the hard mode and we can have kind of an interesting time on that. But for now, that's where we're gonna go ahead and leave off. So all these streams will be eventually uploaded to my YouTube channel, so feel free to check that out if you like. Link is down below on my Twitch channel. I also have links to my Discord, my Patreon, and my Twitter account down below, as well as in the description of my YouTube videos. So if you're interested in any of those three social medias or the like, feel free to check those out. Um, I have a schedule of all the games that I currently play on a weekly basis. Now, I know today was supposed to be a World of Warships Day. I understand that, but um, my internet was not being friendly to me, unfortunately. So we went with something a little bit low-key on this. So um, hopefully next week will be a little bit easier, a little bit better. Hopefully. We'll see. I do this daily from 2 to 6 p.m. PST. So feel free to check that out if you'd like. Come on by, say hi in the chat, or don't. That's perfectly fine if you don't. If you're willing to just kind of lurk and watch, that's perfectly fine. I don't mind whatsoever. So, but yeah, that's where we're going to go ahead and leave off. Tomorrow will be my Terraria day, so come on by and see me play some Terraria. It is a blind playthrough, so I'm kind of learning as I go along those lines. No multiplayer yet. We'll get there. We'll get there, but no multiplayer yet. Then we have Stardew Valley on Friday and Saturday. So hopefully I'll catch you then. Until then, have a good night. Take care. Stay safe. Stay healthy. And I'll see you strangers next time.